Did you know there are certain everyday habits that could quietly be shortening your life? As we move through our 60s, 70s, and beyond, the conversation around health begins to shift. It's no longer just about doing more, taking more supplements, exercising harder, or adding routines, but just as often, it's about doing less of what harms us. Sometimes the most powerful changes come not from what we start, but from what we finally stop. In this article, we're diving into 10 things that, if you simply do less of them, could actually help you live longer, feel better, and preserve the energy you do have for what truly matters. These aren't extreme changes. They're not based on fears or fear. They're rooted in common sense, experience, and what medical professionals and longevity researchers have been quietly saying for years. From subtle daily habits that tax your body over time to mental patterns that slowly chip away at your well-being, these 10 things are surprisingly common, especially among older adults. The good news? They're all changeable, often with just a shift in awareness and a little bit of courage to choose differently. So if you've ever wondered why certain people seem to stay strong, sharp, and vibrant well into their 80s and 90s, this might be part of the answer. Stay tuned until the end, because number 10 just might reframe the way you look at your own habits and give you permission to live a little lighter, starting today. Let's get started. Number 1, constant worry over small things. Worry has a way of slipping into your day without asking permission. A small thought here, a what if there, and before you know it, your mind is spinning over things that either already passed or haven't happened yet. While some concern is normal, constantly stressing over little things can become a slow, silent form of harm. It affects your sleep, your digestion, your heart, and even the way your immune system functions. The truth is, most of the things we worry about never actually come to pass. After 60, many people begin to realize just how much energy they've spent on mental noise, worrying about what someone might think, worrying about how something small might go wrong, worrying about things they can't change. As that realization settles in, they start choosing peace instead of panic. Not because the world is suddenly safe, but because they've decided their own nervous system is worth protecting. Studies continue to show that chronic stress can speed up the aging process. It shortens telomeres, those little caps on your DNA that affect cellular aging. But even without science, you've probably felt the difference in your own body, the tension in your chest, the tightness in your stomach, the restless mind at 3 o'clock a.m. that keeps you from true rest. Letting go of constant worry isn't about becoming careless. It's about becoming selective. You begin to ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Is this worth my peace? Little by little, you build the muscle of redirecting your mind, choosing calm when your old self might have chosen chaos. People who live long, vibrant lives often have one thing in common. They've made peace with not having control over everything. They focus on what they can change and learn to breathe through what they can't. That shift, that subtle release, adds years not just to their life, but to the quality of it. Number 2, sitting for long hours without movement. One of the sneakiest things that chips away at our health as we age is something we rarely think twice about: sitting. Not just sitting here and there, but sitting for long, uninterrupted stretches of time. Whether it's watching TV, reading, driving, or working at a desk, being still for hours on end quietly slows circulation, weakens muscles, and increases inflammation throughout the body. It doesn't seem dramatic, but over time it can take a real toll. Doctors now call it the new smoking for a reason. Prolonged sitting has been linked to heart disease, diabetes, joint stiffness, and even early mortality. Here's the twist: regular exercise doesn't cancel it out. You can go for a morning walk, but if you're then sitting the rest of the day, the damage still adds up. What matters more is how often you move, not just how long. Many older adults, especially in retirement, fall into a rhythm that feels calm but is actually quite sedentary. A little TV in the morning, a meal at the table, then more sitting in the afternoon, perhaps a nap. Before you know it, the majority of the day has passed without much movement. It's not laziness, it's habit. It's comfort. It's what the body has grown used to, but what the body needs is circulation, muscle activation, and regular shifts in position to keep everything functioning smoothly. Simple changes can make a big difference. Standing up every 30 minutes, doing light stretches in the kitchen while you wait for coffee in a brew, taking phone calls while walking slowly around the room, even a few minutes of gentle movement every hour can reactivate your system and lower your risk of chronic conditions dramatically. People who live long lives often have one thing in common. They stay in motion, not by running marathons or going to the gym every day, but by making movement a natural part of life. Gardening, climbing stairs, moving with purpose, moving with joy. If you're finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. Your support helps continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 3, eating late at night. One of the habits that seems harmless but can quietly strain your health is eating too close to bedtime. For decades, many of us were told that a little bedtime snack was no big deal, but science and experience say otherwise. Regularly eating late disrupts your digestion, spikes your blood sugar, and interferes with the body's natural rhythm of repair. Your system needs time to wind down after sunset. Your metabolism slows, your organs shift from active mode into recovery mode. And when you eat late, especially heavy, greasy, or sugary foods, you force your body to work through the night rather than rest. That often leads to poor sleep, indigestion, and even an increased risk for weight gain, acid reflux, and heart problems over time. What many people don't realize is that your liver and gut function best when they have long periods without food, especially during sleep. That overnight fast gives your body time to detox, rebalance hormones, and restore energy for the next day. But when you keep feeding it right before bed, that healing process is disrupted. And over time, the effects build up in ways you can feel. Foggier mornings, lower energy, more inflammation, even changes in memory and mood. A simple shift, finishing dinner at least 2 or 3 hours before lying down, can do wonders. Some people even notice their sleep quality improving within days. They wake up lighter, more rested, and the funny thing is, they didn't add anything new. They just stopped doing one small thing that had big consequences. Longevity isn't always about breakthroughs or magic formulas. Sometimes it's about listening to the body's natural wisdom and letting it rest when it asks to. Your body already knows how to heal. It just needs the space to do it. Stepping away from late-night eating is one of the gentlest, most powerful ways to give it that space. Number 4, suppressing your emotions. There's a quiet damage that happens when you've spent years swallowing your feelings. For many older adults, especially those raised to be polite, self-controlled, or strong, this habit can feel second nature, keeping the peace by keeping things in. But over time, unexpressed emotions don't just disappear. They settle into the body, and the cost of silence begins to show up in ways that medicine alone can't fix. Chronic emotional suppression has been linked to elevated blood pressure, heart disease, insomnia, and even autoimmune issues. When we bottle things up, grief, anger, resentment, fear, the nervous system stays stuck in a low-level fight-or-flight state. The body stays tense, the heart beats faster, and the stress response becomes constant, not occasional. It doesn't mean you need to become loud or confrontational. It means giving yourself permission to feel, to name what's true, to say, that hurt, or I need space, or even just, I'm not okay right now. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of vitality, signs that you're still engaged, still human, still growing. Some of the longest living people share a similar trait. They don't carry emotional weight for too long. They find ways to release it, through conversation, through prayer, through journaling, or even through a quiet cry alone on the porch. They don't pretend to be unaffected. They allow the emotion to pass through them instead of getting stuck inside. You might be surprised how much lighter you feel once you stop pretending you're fine when you're not, how your sleep improves, how your shoulders relax, how your appetite evens out. Because when you start making space for emotional honesty, your body responds with trust. And that trust shows up as health, as ease, and often years added to your life. If you're finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. Your support helps continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 5, over-consuming processed sugar. Sugar has a way of sneaking in little by little, a teaspoon in your coffee, a couple of cookies after lunch, a piece of cake at a gathering. On its own, none of it seems like much, but the cumulative effect can be far more damaging than we often realize, especially as we get older. The less processed sugar you consume, the better your chances are of avoiding inflammation, memory loss, and chronic disease. As we age, our metabolism slows down, and our body becomes more sensitive to sugar's effects. What might not have caused much harm in your 30s can now quietly disrupt your energy, spike your blood sugar, and put extra stress on your heart, liver, and kidneys. Because sugar is addictive, it's easy to fall into a cycle of craving more, even when your body's asking for less. Research has linked excessive sugar intake to everything from type 2 diabetes to dementia. High blood sugar levels can damage blood vessels, including those in the brain, and speed up cognitive decline. For older adults, this often shows up as increased forgetfulness, brain fog, or mood swings. But cutting back, even a little, can lead to clearer thinking, more stable energy, and even better sleep. It's not about quitting everything sweet. It's about choosing more natural sources, like fruit, or reducing added sugar in things like cereals, sauces, and drinks. Sometimes simply becoming aware of where sugar is hiding is enough to help you make different choices. When you do, your body responds, your taste buds reset, and your overall vitality starts to return. Many older adults who cut back on sugar say the same thing. I didn't realize how tired I'd been until I stopped. Because sugar may give you a quick rush, but it always takes more than it gives. Choosing less isn't about restriction. It's about restoration, about giving your body a chance to thrive, not just survive. Over time, that decision adds up to more energy, more clarity, and quite possibly more years. Number 6, ignoring sleep signals. One of the most overlooked contributors to a longer life is also one of the simplest: sleep. But not just sleep in general, responding to your body's natural signals when it's asking for rest. Too many older adults push through drowsiness, stay up late watching television, or disrupt their natural rhythm with inconsistent sleep times. While that may seem harmless in the moment, the long-term effects on your health can be significant. Sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's when your brain cleans itself, your tissues repair, and your hormones rebalance. Every system in your body benefits from consistent, quality sleep, and the older you get, the more important it becomes. When you regularly ignore your body's cues, staying up past when you're tired, eating too late, or letting screens keep your mind wired, you rob yourself of that deep cellular restoration. There's a common myth that we need less sleep as we age, but the truth is, older adults often get less sleep because they stop honoring the natural patterns that help create it. Bright lights late at night, caffeine too late in the day, or even just a restless mind filled with unfinished thoughts. These things all interfere with the gentle descent into rest that your body needs. Listening to your body's signals can be as simple as noticing when your eyelids get heavy in the evening or when your focus starts to fade. That's your body saying it's time. When you respond with care by creating a calm environment, limiting stimulation, and getting into bed while your body's ready, you begin to rebuild a relationship with rest that can carry you well into your later years. People who live long, healthy lives often have strong sleep habits, not rigid schedules, but rhythms they honor. They don't treat sleep as an inconvenience. They treat it as sacred. When you do the same, you'll likely notice more energy during the day, better digestion, sharper memory, and a stronger immune response. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional, about noticing what your body is whispering and having the wisdom to listen before it has to shout. If you're finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. Your support helps continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 7, isolating yourself from others. There's a quiet danger in isolation, and it doesn't always look the way you'd expect. It's not just about being alone. It's about going days without meaningful conversation, withdrawing when you need support, convincing yourself that keeping to yourself is easier than reaching out. The longer you stay in that pattern, the more it begins to affect not just your mood, but your body and even your lifespan. Social isolation has been linked in studies to higher rates of cognitive decline, depression, and even mortality. In fact, prolonged loneliness can be just as harmful to your health as smoking or obesity. Yet it often goes unnoticed. Why? Because it's easy to hide. It's easy to say, I'm just tired, or people are busy, or I've gotten used to being on my own. But even the most independent among us are wired for connection. Human beings, especially in the second half of life, need shared moments, even small ones, to stay emotionally and physically well. A walk with a neighbor, a phone call with a friend, a conversation with someone at the grocery store. These may seem small, but they carry weight. They remind you that you matter, that you're still part of something bigger than yourself. After 60, many people find themselves in a quieter season. Children have grown, careers have slowed, familiar routines have shifted. It's easy in that quiet to begin fading from community, but that's when connection matters most. The beauty is, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just a few steady relationships, a few regular conversations, can make all the difference in how your brain functions, how your immune system responds, and how deeply you feel joy. People who age well aren't necessarily surrounded by crowds, but they're not disconnected either. They make a point to stay in touch. They reach out even when it feels awkward. They say yes to the invitation. They check in on others. In doing so, they not only add years to their life, but life to their years. If you've been pulling back, consider this a gentle nudge. Someone out there is probably hoping to hear from you today, and just one meaningful moment might be all it takes to remind your nervous system you're not alone. Number 8, rushing through meals. In a world that moves fast, eating slowly can feel like a lost art. But after 60, how you eat becomes just as important as what you eat. Rushing through your meals, eating while standing, distracted, or in a hurry, not only affects digestion, but can also lead to overeating, poor nutrient absorption, and an increased risk of chronic issues like heartburn, bloating, and even weight gain. When you eat too fast, your body doesn't have enough time to signal fullness. That means you may consume more than you need before your brain catches up. For older adults, this can be especially tricky because metabolism slows down and digestion becomes more delicate with age. A heavy meal eaten too quickly can leave you sluggish, uncomfortable, or even disrupt your blood sugar levels for hours afterward. But there's something else too, something deeper. Meals aren't just fuel, they're moments of pause. They're opportunities to check in with your body, with your emotions, and with the simple pleasures of life. When you eat slowly, you engage all your senses. You notice the flavor, the texture, the warmth. You chew more fully, which helps your gut do its job more easily. You breathe between bites, giving your nervous system a chance to settle. Slowing down at the table isn't about being fancy. It's about being kind to your body. It's a way of saying, I'm not in a race. That mindset carries over into other areas of your life, your sleep, your stress levels, your ability to feel present instead of just productive. People who live long, healthy lives often treat meals with reverence, not as something to get through, but as something to savor. Whether they eat alone or with company, they give themselves time to reflect, time to digest, not just the food, but the day. So if you've fallen into the habit of eating on autopilot, see what happens when you take just 5 minutes longer. Sit down, take a deep breath, put the fork down between bites. You might find that slowing down at the table helps you speed up your healing, and it's one of the gentlest habits you can build for a longer, more nourished life. Number 9, staying in toxic environments. One of the hardest lessons to learn as we age is that peace of mind is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Yet so many people spend years, sometimes decades, staying in environments that slowly drain them. It could be a relationship that leaves you feeling small, a social circle filled with criticism or gossip, or even a home where conflict is always simmering under the surface. Whatever the case, the body keeps score, and the longer you stay in those spaces, the more your health begins to reflect it. Toxic environments don't always show themselves loudly. Sometimes it's the subtle tension in your chest when you enter a room, the way you brace yourself before a conversation, the way your sleep suffers, or your appetite shifts without obvious reason. Over time, chronic exposure to that kind of emotional stress raises your cortisol, wears down your immune system, and can even lead to long-term conditions like hypertension, digestive issues, or anxiety-related disorders. After 60, your tolerance for these environments often starts to wane, not because you've gotten weaker, but because you've gotten wiser. You begin to understand that longevity isn't just about diet or exercise, it's also about atmosphere, about the emotional climate you live in. Sometimes the most important health decision you can make has nothing to do with what you're eating and everything to do with who you're around and how you feel when you're there. Making a change doesn't always mean walking away entirely. Sometimes it means speaking up, setting firmer boundaries, carving out space for yourself even inside a difficult situation. But in many cases, it does mean letting go of roles you've outgrown, relationships that no longer serve, or places that no longer feel like home. People who age well tend to create spaces around them that are calm, supportive, and emotionally safe. They know that healing happens faster in peace than in tension, and they're not afraid to choose solitude over hostility, stillness over drama. If something in your life feels toxic, listen closely. That discomfort is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's your body and spirit telling you, we can't thrive here anymore. The less time you spend in those environments, the more space you create for healing, for clarity, and for a life that feels genuinely livable. If you're finding these insights valuable, please comment number 9 below to let me know you are here. Your support helps continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 10, overusing alcohol or self-medication. As we get older, the body becomes more sensitive to what we put into it, and that includes alcohol, over-the-counter medications, and even herbal remedies. What once felt harmless, a nightly glass of wine, a pill to sleep, something to take the edge off, can start having outsized effects on your liver, your brain, and your overall vitality. While no one sets out to harm themselves, the habit of reaching for a quick fix can slowly turn into a pattern that shortens both lifespan and quality of life. Alcohol, in particular, sacrifices made in the name of convenience or momentary relief. Final thoughts. As we bring this discussion to a close, I invite you to take a quiet moment and ask yourself, which of these 10 habits shows up in your life most often? Which one feels familiar, not because it's serving you, but because it's become part of the background noise of your routine? You see, longevity isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about subtracting the very things that weigh you down, the patterns that stress your body, the habits that slowly erode your health, the behaviors that take more than they give. The beauty is, you don't need to change everything overnight. Often, just becoming aware is the first step towards something better. Maybe today, you decide to move a little more, to speak up instead of holding back, to rest when you're tired, to eat without rushing. Maybe you let go of just one thing that no longer makes sense for your body, your peace of mind, or your path forward, because the less you do of what drains you, the more space you create for what restores you. In that space, life becomes not just longer, but fuller, richer, and more truly your own. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for engaging, and we look forward to connecting with you in the next discussion.